chump change crimes compared to what's going on now. So we're going to get into that because now big agra with biotech wants liability protection from the federal government, and the bill's very close to passing. Gee, they want liability protection from food they're going to make you eat because it's so good for you. And we've got all the documents and all the news articles going back 15 years where the Monsanto crew will not eat their own food. At all their big biotech campuses, you know, behind armed guards and swipe guards and the rest of it, at their really bioweapon facilities, they call it food production. This eugenics company, their scientists have GMO-free cafeterias. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and go to Kevin in Kentucky. Kevin, you're on the air. Welcome.
Thank you for taking my call, Alex. To answer your question, I guess, no, I don't think you're crazy and exaggerating. If anything, you're not going far enough. But, hey, you're doing what you can do. I did want to say, last night I was speaking with a friend of mine who is in the healthcare industry. She's a nurse. And we were just having a conversation, and I asked her what she thought about the new healthcare bill being passed. And before she just started, I just want to let people are waking up. She says, what in the world? I am so sick of all these people complaining about Obama and the new health care law. It's driving me crazy. So people are waking up. And, I just wanted to throw that in there. But another friend says that those kind of things will never happen in our lifetime. They're not worried about it. Now, most of the people that I talk to that aren't awake don't have children. They don't have any, bills to pay per se. They're getting their food stamps. They're living just fine, so they have no reason to worry about it. I have 2 children, a family, and a home, trying to live the American dream that my parents did. Me and you are the same age. And it's tough. It's really tough. And it's hard to explain.
Exactly. For all these people on disability, a lot of them, need it. I'm not saying they're even bad. Or you've got over 51% of the public on government dole one way or the other. And the rest of us are getting ready to have our backs break. And the globalist answer is re-education camps and labor camps. And they now admit this. This is not going to be like Russia where they get away with it. There's 200 million guns in this country. Let me ask you a question. What does freedom mean to you? Of course, we reported this 3 months ago, and then again another month ago. There's a train of Russian ships pulling into the port there, their only Mediterranean port in the Mediterranean there in Syria. That's part of the news coming up. Now the New York Times has reported it. So we now know it's true. Again, when the sun comes up in the morning, the New York Times has to say so for us to then, because they told us there was yellow cake from Niger in Saddam's garden. Remember, they even said it was buried under a rose bush. But now they're saying ships are being sent. So I have to question it. Maybe Russian ships aren't being sent. No, the Russians confirmed a month ago. They're sending in Spetsnaz, you name it. That's coming up. That's the type of news we're going to be covering. And NATO is saying they want to start bombing, in a humanitarian way, Damascus with Russians in it. You know what that sounds like to me? Yeah, it's not very good. See, the world is in more danger now than it's ever been. But they've got trash men all over the country busy looking in our trash cans for Al-Qaeda. That's just the priming you. In fact, they've already switched to, and anything else that looks illegal. You smell marijuana in there, you see any marijuana seeds, they get you primed on, here's Al-Qaeda, and then pretty soon, did you see somebody spank their kid? That's why I'm creeped out, ladies and gentlemen. The government is not the government anymore. I don't care if the average person in it isn't a bad person. It doesn't matter. The people driving the ship are super bad hombres. And bending over to them and licking their boots isn't going to get us out of this. Let me just give everybody a news flash. I've got to shut up now. I'll never get to my 15 calls. I'll get to the news. John in New York. John, you're on the air.
Yeah, Alex, I wanted to share 2 points with you because I believe in everything that you're doing. You've woken me up extremely. And my first point, it actually goes to television and film. There is so much New World Order in television and film, at least I've been realizing in the last 5 years. That is just
no, you're absolutely. That's why I'm hiring 4 or 5 more reporters if I can afford it. Is because I'll just give you inside baseball. I plan to put 2 of them on the media beat because every time I turn on a movie or a TV show, it's anti-family, anti-gun, pro-world government, military checkpoints on the highways. I mean, it's all anti-freedom messages because they know about 80% of people don't even watch the news. I mean, you think the news is full of bull, folks. You ought to try. Every movie I see is laced with it. I mean, yes, sir, you're right. We're going to try to focus on that more. What kind of things are you noticing?
Noticing just corporations and world government. There's a new show, Continuum, that's airing in Canada. Is very famous, and it's truly about the New World Order. That is the plot. It is about an officer who has finally woken up to the New World Order and how corporations in the future, in 2076, have bought all the people, they've bought all the land, they own you. You don't own yourself, they own you.
By the way,
corporations own you.
Do you know the psych warfare? I know a lot of TV producers, a lot of Hollywood people, and I mean, a lot of directors and producers, and I met so many of them, and they described it this way. They said, look, a lot of us know what's going on, but this stuff doesn't get approved by the big heads of the different corporations. It doesn't get approved by Fox or by Universal or by the studio heads unless it fits in their agenda. So they'll be anti-New World Order, and you'll even get some shows out like Jericho on mainstream television where a Merc group in the government stages a nuclear attack to get martial law going, which is actually one of the real plans, because it is. The New World Order is a banker Merc takeover of America. But see, the reason they'll allow that on air, and it was top rated, and then somebody higher up said kill it, is they only want a little of it to condition people. Like, oh, that's a movie. That's only a movie where the Mercs nuke things. Or that's only a movie. Or it's 2075 when there's a global corporation. No. They've been taking blood for 40 years. They've now ruled blood samples taken over 25 years ago. You just look this up. Court rules corporations own your DNA. When they take your baby blood, or you agree and sign forms for a blood test, you think it's a free blood test at college or whatever. They say, oh, free HIV test or whatever. Everybody's scared of getting it because they're sexually active, so you'll get the blood test. And it was free, but the form said they could actually use it for research. You're like, oh, that's okay, even if you read it. Now, when you go in, you have individual protein combos and things. You go to get a genetic treatment, they go, that's going to be $1 million. And you go, well, why $1 million? They go, well, we own your DNA now to give you your own DNA treatment. Great point. In fact, stay there. I want to hear another comment from you, John. Then we're going to go to Scott, Mark, Nick, Alan, and others. And the news is coming up.
We're on the march. The Empire's on.
All right, we're going back to your calls here in a moment. And the last caller really hit one of my pet peeves, John in New York, and we're going back to him in a few minutes here. One of the areas I kick myself constantly is that I'm not following propaganda and entertainment enough. And I don't just mean Illuminati imagery. I don't just mean things like that. Anytime my wife downloads mainline TV shows to watch when she's lifting weights at the house or running on the treadmill or whatever, she'll call me over and go, look at this, look at this. And the bad person that's got children kidnapped in a basement refuses to vaccinate their children. Or the person that refuses to vaccinate wants to secretly nerve gas New York City. It's every show. I know you're seeing it. I don't watch entertainment shows other than things like the Olympics. I will probably TiVo it. I have cable. I don't have cable. I have Dish or whatever it is. I have some system in my house. I don't even watch enough to know. I will watch some of the Olympic stuff. I mean, And again, I'll feel guilty the entire time because they'll be bombarding New World Order, global government messages. I'll have to turn the television, off or fast forward every time ads come on because of all the subliminals and things. But overall, I mean, it is, good to see human potential, and I like track and field, the swimming and things like that. And it's good for my children to see that because then it gives them role models to be into sports instead of into other things. So I get why people run to sports. It just becomes this totally overdone, sick culture where we then idolize all these big professional athletes who've got the sordid background. But when it comes to just flat out, straight up sports, it's one of the healthiest things out there. I'm certainly not saying I'm some sports aficionado. I just, as I get older, realize how important sports is for children. But I'm going to digress at that point. I know I'm stating the obvious here. And do two plugs here. One is just informational. We make videos all the time that we air here on the radio/TV or on the nightly news. I can shoot one at my house for 5 minutes, holding the camera myself with it shaking, and it gets 800,000 views. I can produce a documentary that takes a year to make, it gets 5 million views. I can make a documentary that takes 2 days to make, and it gets 4 million views. You never know what is going to hit the zeitgeist with people. And I don't tailor what we produce to try to hit a zeitgeist. I believe that people should want to know what's going on in reality and know about threats to their future and their present, for that matter. So I produce things that I think are important, and it's hit or miss, but I still produce what I think is important. And we spent all of 2.5, almost 3 weeks producing a 20-minute video titled Humanity's Greatest Secret, Dreams of the Universe. And it came out Saturday afternoon, and it's only had 191,000 views. Now, I've seen algorithms out there and reports that YouTube has gotten harder and harder because there are tens of millions of people posting stuff, so it's so competitive. People that used to get millions of views every video, they're lucky to get 100,000 now. So I understand with one of our channels with 220 million views or whatever, we have about 500 and something million total in the last few years, that we're dominating news and politics on YouTube. That's the quote genre of the box they put us in. We're dominating. And it's an important area, YouTube is, because that's where we reach mainline people, young people and others who would never come across this information, who don't listen to talk radio. Our biggest sustained audience is now over 115 AM and FM stations. It's really getting scary how many stations we're getting, because we're always gaining stations, but then losing them as they sell or change formats or things like that. So normally we would hover around 60, 70, 80 stations over the years. Now it's been well over 100 for a while, and we're gaining 3, 4 stations a week now, and it's going to be like 150 if this keeps going in 4, 5, 6 weeks. And it really scares me because the fact that I'm becoming mainstream really shows I'm right. I mean, I wish I was wrong. Every day I try to think of ways to be wrong. I try to think of ways that I'm overestimating the globalists. I try to think of ways that I'm wrong and it's not that bad. And believe me, folks, I know why a lot of you are in denial. I want to be in denial. I want to be in denial. And the fact that we're breaking through on every front is very positive, showing people are waking up.